3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to Grounds After Rounds.
Well, you walked in at a perfect time. I need to show you guys this picture, if you can see it. So that is Fiona in our bathroom. Mm-hmm. She took an entire roll of toilet paper and made scarves out of it.
Oh.
So that all that on the floor is scarves made out of toilet paper.
Oh.
For his money right now.
I showed that to my brother, and he goes, "You realize that's like a felony right now, right?" So Meg said she was able to salvage most of it, but she, but it was I think it was around the time like the toilet paper panic started really going on, and I went into the bathroom one day, and she was standing up in the sink, and she had a roll of toilet paper in the sink and was pouring water on it, and had the brush that I use for like my shaving soap, and she was dipping in the soap and then holding under water, and then she said she was painting the toilet roll. So this entire roll is sopping wet. And at the time I was like, ugh, whatever, she's having fun. If she did that now, I'd be like,
nope.
I would have her standing there with a blow dryer. So she is, it's a good thing she's cute.
Mm-hmm. At least she's having fun now.
Yeah, exactly. We were just talking about like ways that she can find entertainment. We'll take it. So that just means she won't be wiping for a while.
Lots of showers.
Lots of showers. How'd your meeting go, Amy?
It was good. Just normal work stuff via Zoom, which is I guess everybody's normal now. But
Yeah.
That's how it's going. Well, cool. Well, I'm really excited you were on. And I thought I told it too. So, like, I don't know if you've listened to the podcast at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally okay if you haven't. I know I think we've interviewed everyone that actually listens to it. So I was thinking we were like, hold on. But we're just doing this series where we're, zooming in on Jack. We're just doing this thing where, like, everyone's so much more available to kind of have as a guest now. So it's kind of our way of keeping up with the creek is what we're calling it. And we had a lot of dudes in a row, and so I think it was KJ, was like, "You need more girls." And I was like, you know what? We need to get Amy on because you're only here for a little bit longer.
3 more months.
3 more months. Was that pushed back, or was it? No, it was always July. Yeah.
Yeah, I came in August 1st of last year. I finished July 31st of this year. Yeah. So I joined y'all. I think I was your August class.
Yeah.
First things I did when I got up here was join y'all's gym, and then
Where do you head back to? Is this what do you do that you're traveling?
So I'm from Louisiana, born and raised. I'm a general surgeon, so I just completed my general surgery residency training with LSU last year, and I'm completing 1 more year of training because 5 years wasn't enough after medical school, and I wanted to do 1 more year. So I'm doing 1 year fellowship training up here in Maryland, which is what brought me here.
Okay.
For 12 months, and it's in bariatric surgery, so weight loss surgery. 12 months, and then I go back home.
Back to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing
there's a shortage. I'm sure there's a shortage of clientele down there. They're really Louisiana's a really healthy.
It'll be tough to find work, I'm sure.
Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, right? Are they pretty much 1, 2, 3 every year?
We win in obesity, that's for sure.
Victory.
For most people, I don't think pandemic is helping much with the weight loss.
Yeah.
Besides our lucky CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's that story like? What drove you into that? Did you always want to be a doctor? Always wanted to be a surgeon? Watch too much ER and Grey's Anatomy? Like what's?
Yeah, I kind of always wanted to be a doctor. Well, I kind of have the cliche story. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a vet. But then I grew up and learned that vets do just about as much training as us. And it's such a long road that I was like, if I'm going to spend that much time, I'd rather learn about humans than animals.
They can at least talk back.
Exactly.
Tell you where it hurts.
I'll tell you what, I have great respect for our vets though, because I mean, they do everything we do and more, and they can't even talk to their patient. So it's an interesting aspect. I just had to bring my dog to the vet last week, and I was impressed with them.
Is she okay?
Yeah, I brought her to the dog park before they were closed, so I guess it might have been 2 weeks ago. And she took a little tumble because she's kind of an awkward teenager age, Great Dane. So she took a little tumble and she was limping afterwards. I was like, oh, great, broken bones, going to cost me thousands of dollars. I bring her to the vet and she had a broken nail.
Oh.
A bit of a drama queen.
Well, for dogs, that's a big deal. I mean, they're breaking their nail is like us breaking down to like that first knuckle.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it was, down at the, at the base of the nail. I'm sure it was very painful, but my whole family was concerned, of course, because this is like our only child, and so, and then when I called them back, they're like, what is it? I'm like, it's a broken nail. But,
Jack, I don't know if you've seen Farrah, but you've seen the crate that Farrah sleeps in from Aimee's pull-ups.
Yes.
So yeah, she is. I think whenever like Aimee, we'll be doing some of the warm-ups or something, and Farrah straight up like walks between Aimee's legs, and Aimee like just enough room for Farrah to walk under. Like that's it. And so
I think she looks forward to my workouts every day because we're here all day now, of course, and she literally sleeps all day, does nothing, and then as soon as I start working out, she's like, all right, it's time to go.
Let's get it.
So.
That's great.
So I was getting into, so you're up here doing your training and schooling and all that good stuff, but you're doing something else. There's something else you're planning for while doing all of this.
I am going to get married.
Yay! Congratulations.
If that's what you mean.
That's what I was getting at, the whole wedding thing. Which was, when's the date? Not till the fall, right?
August 29th, so about a month after I move home, and that's, of course, if the pandemic else. So we haven't had to change any plans yet, but as everybody, this is such a fluid situation, nobody knows.
Yeah.
And so...
And your fiance is still down in Louisiana?
Correct. He lives in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is where we have a home together. Okay. So it's a small little town. It's like 2 hours outside of New Orleans. So.
Now you have Farrah. Who does he have?
He has Naya. She's a 9-year-old Doberman.
Oh.
We're a large dog.
Like small dogs, huh?
Yeah. We're a large dog household for sure.
I appreciate that.
That's awesome. And I guess real quick for the record, your last name is not pronounced Hymel.
That's correct. It's actually pronounced Hymel, which the H is silent. The rest of it is phonetic. And yes, if it helps, it does sound oddly similar to electronic mail or email. So if that helps you remember, like every single person I've ever met in my entire life has told me. Yes,
what is it? Is that like
it's
German?
It's French. Oh. It's the French influences, yeah. So a lot of our names from Southern Louisiana have kind of the French
Creole French.
Yeah, and silent H's is one of those. So.
What's Austin's last name? It's
unfortunately, it's not Creole or Cajun at all. It is Shoemaker.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I can't remember if it's super is or super is not.
Yeah. His four grandparents were, let's see, he's a Landry, an Abear, which up here I learned y'all say Hebert, but back home that is pronounced Abear. So he's a Landry, an Abear, a Boudreaux, which is a really good Cajun name.
Yeah.
The fourth name that is actually his name is Shoemaker. I'm like, oh, come on. 3 good Cajun names and then Shoemaker. So
yeah.
So did you pick LSU to just stay close to home? Was it more of is that undergrad and then went to med school there, or what was the trajectory?
Yeah, I grew up in Baton Rouge, which is where the location of LSU is. And when I went to college, it was like that. I was raised a Tiger fan. I looked at some other schools, UGA and UT. I knew I wanted to go to like a big state school, but then I realized, if you stay home, they had, some great scholarship programs and things. And I was able to go to LSU on scholarship rather than paying out of state fees. So once I was at LSU, I was just kind of sucked in. Then it was the LSU med school and then LSU residency. So I've actually graduated from LSU 3 times, which is great when I'm up here because I fly my LSU flag outside my house in Eastport, and I tend to own some LSU gear that I wear when I walk Farrah. People always ask, but did you actually go there? Are you a real fan? I'm like, 3 times I've graduated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy too for
Legit.
color scheme, right? Like you haven't had to change, you know.
Yeah, everyone
always...
thinks I'm a Ravens fan.
Oh yeah.
I like trying to blend in.
silly Baltimoreans.
It's funny. I think I've graduated from Anne Arundel 3 times as well, at least. No one ever asked me if I really went there. I feel like it's more like I get that a lot actually. When I told people so I have an associate's degree, and then I took a couple classes at Maryland, but I never actually got my bachelor's. But I have an associate's, and when I was going to the community college, people were like, "So where are you going to school?" I was like, "Actually, I'm at Anne Arundel Community College," and they go, "That's okay too." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, Eric, you have a doctorate in bad jokes.
I did.
Proof of that.
I'm his intern in bad jokes right now.
Oh,
so
great.
I'm working
Just what
on
we
it.
need.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Are y'all both from Maryland? I don't know y'all's background.
No, I grew up in, Eric is, right? Davidsonville. His parents still live there. Not to speak for you, but no, I grew up in suburban Philly, a place called King of Prussia.
Okay.
Our claim to fame is we were the biggest mall in America for a while, and then all those big malls everywhere else opened up. But it's still...
And there was that actual Mall of America.
Right. But yeah, and then I graduated from high school and went to the Naval Academy, and I never moved back to Philly. But my parents and family still live in that area. I got a sister who lives in that area, another one who lives up in Jersey, and then my wife is from Northwestern Connecticut. So I was in the Navy for 20 years, retired out of, came back to the academy and taught for the last 8 years of that 20 in the English department. So, and I was an explosive ordnance disposal officer for 12 of those 20 years. So kind of bounced around a lot. Japan, California, Florida, back to Virginia Beach, back to Hawaii, or out to Hawaii. And then we came back to Annapolis. And this was a happy medium, close enough to family that we can pretty much drive there without it being too bad, but not so close that you feel obligated to see them that much. So,
yeah, that's the boat I'm in, where now I don't think I mind it as much, because now it's like, it's not as easy for me to like pick up and go over there because I have a child. But my sister's always smart, because my sister, when she graduated high school, went out to University of Ohio, and Ohio is far enough away that, like you said, it's far enough away that you can kind of like have your own life, but it was close enough that if something came up, she could drive and be there within a day, or she could fly and be there in a couple hours. I've pretty much never lived any further than like 15 minutes away from my parents' house, which has like its pluses and minuses. But yeah, grew up in Davidsonville and have lived in Annapolis for, how old am I?
36.
I don't know, 12 years? I've lost count. I think I've lived in Annapolis. No, never mind, because I was like 20 something when I lived in Annapolis. Anyway,
so Aimee, so with had you been doing CrossFit before you found us? Had you heard about it? And you know what I mean? Like there was this big push by CrossFit to kind of start to indoctrinate doctors and kind of the whole healthcare industry. I'm curious kind of how much visibility you kind of had on that before you picked up.
So I had never participated in CrossFit before. I of course knew what it was. My fiance actually opened a CrossFit gym when he was young, when he was 18. He opened one in New Orleans, one of the first ones in New Orleans.
Oh, he opened it.
He opened it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And then they worked for a while, and then he had a falling out with his business partner, and he sold his half. And when I met him 3 years ago, he was still actually a CrossFit coach. So he was still coaching at one of the gyms in Lafayette. So I used to kind of make fun of him about it. I used to be one of those people that kind of like made fun of CrossFit, said it was like a cult and everybody was really into it. But then I moved up here, and it was actually why I wanted to join, because I moved up here and didn't know anybody, and I'm just go to work all day at the hospital and come home. And obviously I wanted to work out, but I also was looking for something else to meet people and get to know people in the community and help start to develop some relationships that aren't just work relationships. And so that was actually the reason why I seeked out CrossFit as opposed to something else. And y'all happen to be the closest gym to my house, so I lucked in.
Nice. Location. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're relatively nice and all. We kind of know. I mean, we kind of know what we're doing most of the time.
It turned out okay. I'm pretty happy with the results.
I just sent, I still teach a class at the academy, and we were sending them their summer reading stuff, but I included a GIF in it, and it's from Parks and Recs, Chris Pratt. He's like, the clip is like, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well. I was like, that's the secret to life right there. Maybe not geriatric or bariatric surgery.
Maybe not surgery.
Yeah, maybe not. Like, you probably should know what you're doing, which is probably why you go to school for 10 years.
Forever.
Mm-hmm. Probably. I can't remember. You had a pretty loaded foundations class, right? I think was it you, Bryant, and Caroline?
Mm-hmm. I think there was 6 of us. Kelly, she's always in the morning classes now.
Yeah, Kelly was there.
Or maybe it was only 4 of us.
I feel like there was 4 or 5, or we had someone like the first day. Oh, Katie and her dad, Katie Bishop. She hasn't been here. She went to Disney World, got engaged, and then we haven't seen her.
Came back.
Doing great. She's doing great, but she started at school and she was out of town, and so it was a lot going back and forth. So like she did it for a couple months. But yeah, Katie and her dad, Robbie, started with us. And then I think he was going to come again. But yeah, so yeah, we had 6 to kick it off, but 5 of you graduated in that single class. So that was one of the bigger ones. I think that, and I think it was like January, February, like one of the first couple classes. Brian Lounsbury was in, were some of the bigger classes.
The foundations class was huge too, because I mean, I was so nervous about coming out to the gym. There was so much like anxiety around not knowing what to do and like feeling like you were expected to know stuff. You know, obviously it wasn't like that, but when you come out there, you don't know. And that foundations class was like awesome. I felt a lot more comfortable going out from my first WOD.
So is it fun now too? Like you going back and forth with Austin now, talking about workouts? Like was there like a gap in your relationship there? There was this hole that you had trouble filling, and now we have filled
actually
that hole?
It's 100% true. So I don't know. We didn't like working out was not really a part of our relationship before. I did Orange Theory for the last few years before I moved up here. And it's fine. I liked it because they have them in so many places. When I was training in residency, I worked between New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. So I was between 3 different cities every 3 months. So having 3 different gym memberships in 3 different cities is very, very expensive. So, you know, out of convenience that worked, but now I feel like we kind of compete a little bit. Actually, last Saturday we did the same. I had him do our WOD from Saturday, this past Saturday, just so we could compete, and I beat him. So
nice. Well done.
He does not like, and so I definitely see a new aspect to our relationship, especially when I get home. It's going to be, it's certainly going to be interesting. But
is he's still coaching?
He's not coaching anymore. No, he got too busy with his business, and so he found, so he still is a member of a CrossFit gym there too, but he also now does this online stuff is kicking off with the pandemic, and it's something called street parking. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's like daily workouts.
So Miranda Alcatraz, formerly Miranda Oldroyd, and her husband Julian Alcatraz, they started street parking. So she's old, one of the original, games level athletes on HQ's YouTube, would do her own thing. She owned a box in Utah for a while. Was part of she was one of the primary commentators for the games and stuff. Did all the color commentating and on the field stuff. got out of it. She was a flow master, like level 1 trainer and stuff. So she was around for a long time, knows her stuff. Is an awesome coach. She actually did my level 1 in Hawaii back in 2010, my first level 1. And she's just, or whatever, she's awesome. And so she got married to Julian, they moved somewhere, and the whole street parking is pull your car out of your drive, or pull your car out of your garage in your driveway and find a spot on the street to park, and you can do all of this stuff at home. So it's an amazing program, and the price point is phenomenal. Like, that's the thing of, not to get too business nerdy, but like a gym like us who has had to pivot to online in order to kind of like bridge this time period, with the eye towards, yes, we're going to go back to brick and mortar and back to the space, but you start to see like, maybe I could do this online stuff. It's like, take a breath, go see who's out there doing it, who your competition would be. They're the competition, and they are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the quality of like that, the two of them and their brains of like how well they coach, and then B, the quality of the product that they deliver is, I mean, it's elite. And so that's before like you jump in like, oh, I could totally do this online thing. So does he coaches for them?
No. That's just his workout regimen now.
Oh, okay.
Because when he stopped coaching with CrossFit, and the normal story, you get busy with work and you're not going often and all that. And believe it or not, the CrossFit memberships in Louisiana might be even more expensive than up here. So like having trouble justifying all that to do a couple workouts a month. And so he started doing the street parking before the pandemic. He had joined it.
Gotcha.
Just because it was more convenient with his lifestyle to work out at home than having to, drive across town to the gym and all that. They're also strict down there. I always tell them how laid back my gym is compared to his or my box, because you can't walk in like 5 minutes late and join a practice. Join a workout. They're like crazy strict, or they'll make you do burpees or something like make you late or whatever. Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I don't think we've started a WOD on time. And I love that about
it's a 5-minute grace period. It's there. It's built in. So people walk in like, Jesus.
I love that about y'all. Don't ever change.
I think it's an aspect of us being a sailing town, or just Annapolis in general runs on
pretty laid back.
Yeah, it runs on a little bit of island time. And so peninsula time.
It's that's funny you said that, because last night Amber was at 6:15 and no one else showed up. I was like, all right, well, Amber, I'll do this workout with you so you're not by yourself. She's like, oh, great. 6:30, Danielle and Alex jumped on. They're like, we're so sorry.
A little bit. I mean, that's a little bit really.
Like, we're so far related. It's like, it's totally okay. Like, I get it. It's funny though. It's funny how people can be so late. And it's like, where are you coming from?
Right, like, what were you doing?
It's not like you got caught in traffic. But that was like, hey, but I tell people all the time, I'd rather you be late than not show up at all. If it's the difference between getting here late or getting a workout in, by all means be late. I think I used to tell you that too, because work was off for you. But it was like, I think it was 6:15, 6:30 they dropped in. 6:35, Chad jumps on. And we're almost done like the full warm up, or like that first half of the warm up. And so it ended up being like, it went from one person at 6:15 to basically 5 people by 6:35. So yeah, we keep it. Again, I'd rather, because imagine like, and we've talked about this too, like the punishing people for running late and making them do burpees. It's like we've talked about, like, we're adults. Like, Amy, you have a job that like you're supposed to be done by this, but you're probably not going to be done by this time, and it's not just something you can drop and leave. And so who am I to punish you for like taking care of this thing that, I don't know, is your livelihood before you come, work out. So, that's pretty cool.
I like how you promote, like you said, even a late workout or a shorter workout is better than no workout, Yeah. Or like when we're struggling with something during a workout and like getting frustrated and you're like, well, did you obtain fitness? And it's like, oh,
yeah.
I am working out. That's right. Even if I didn't do 200 burpees, I only did 175.
Yeah. Oh, well.
25 burpees.
That's more burpees than you would have done if you weren't here.
Exactly.
So Aimee, I want to loop back. I'm just curious, like, just my own selfish curiosity. So how do you graduate residency out from LSU, and then this is a fellowship? Was it something you had to seek out? Is it something that the program? How's that work? And then when you go back to LSU, is that then not residency, but like what's
where
like,
am I at?
Yeah. Like unpack that. I'm just, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
It's a confusing process even when you're the one doing it. So I totally understand if you don't follow it. So you graduate from undergraduate and you go to medical school, 4 years of medical school, and then you graduate from medical school with your MD. So you're technically a doctor of medicine, but then you have to complete a residency, which is the training in whatever field of medicine you're going to practice.
okay.
And so I did a residency in general surgery, and that was 5 years after medical school. So
you do residency for 5 years.
I did 5 years.
Holy crap. Now during that 5 years, you're practicing medicine, right? Like you're actually doing surgeries and
correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so it's a graduated responsibility, but that's where you hear what interns are. Intern is just your first year of residency. It just has a
okay.
But that's what interns are. Well, and you hear about interns because that's obviously kind of your scarier doctors, because that's your first day out of med school, but you're MD and you're practicing medicine. But that was 6 years ago for me. So that was a long time ago.
Oh man. Okay.
So at the end of your residency is when you can take your boards and whatever it is that you specialized in. For me, it was general surgery. And then once you pass your boards, you are a board certified blank. And so for me, board certified general surgeon. And I can go and practice general surgery, which, just for y'all to understand, general surgery is, I kind of think of it as anything in the abdomen, anything in the belly. So it's like taking out your gallbladders and your appendixes, fixing hernias, colon surgery. Again, it's general surgery, so it's kind of broad, kind of operate all that. But after general surgery,
so would that also be like you'd be on call for a hospital? Like somebody comes into the ER, and the ER, because emergency room, that's another specialty, right?
Correct.
Like
that is separate.
They'd be like, okay, I get this guy, girl, whatever, I got him stable. Now call the general surgeon. General surgeon comes down and like.
Correct. You come in, Jack, and say, God, I've been having this pain on the right side of my stomach for 4 hours and it hurts and I've been throwing up. And the ER doctor, who is not the surgeon, it's the ER doctor, which like you said is something different, which the medical shows sometimes confuse people because they make it seem like surgeons just work in the ER and that's where we work, but it's not. So an ER doctor would see you, work you up and say, you know what, I bet this guy has appendicitis. Let me call Aimee, because she's my surgeon, who will come and then take you to the operating room and relieve you of your appendix.
Okay. So you finished that, graduated the third time.
Correct. So after your general surgery residency, again, you can practice as a general surgeon or you can choose to further specialize. And so after that is when people go into things. You can do a plastic surgery fellowship, which is an extra 3 years. You can do cardiothoracic, so heart surgery, which is an extra 2 to 3 years, depending on your program. You can do pediatric surgery, so little baby surgery. I called it squirrel surgery when I was a resident because kids can be like this big.
Also because you come from Louisiana and you hunt a lot of squirrels down there.
So we use references like that, exactly. So that's an extra 2 years after residency. So there's lots of options. For people who want to continue delaying their future as long as possible, which is apparently so I chose bariatric surgery, and another component of it is minimally invasive surgery. So the way I look at it, it's only 1 year, which was one appealing aspect for me. But I really love general surgery and I wanted to practice general surgery, and I see this fellowship as almost a fellowship in general surgery, quote unquote, because it's a technique. So minimally invasive, small incisions. So that's laparoscopic surgery, if you've heard of that term, and robotics, which is the new.
Ooh.
You do surgery on robots?
Correct, yeah. They have appendixes too.
I saw that on Star. Oh, actually, I'm watching Westworld. There we go.
Oh yeah, that's cool, yeah. So robotic surgery, which is a technique that you don't necessarily learn in residency, excuse me. but is, in my mind, makes you a better general surgeon if you have that to offer your patients. And then finally, the bariatric surgery is another component, the weight loss surgery, which again, I kind of just see it as an extra component of general surgery. So when I go back home, to answer your last question, on July 31st, when I finish my fellowship here and I move back home, I will be I already signed a contract, but I'll be working with a hospital in Lafayette. I'm joining one other bariatric surgeon there, so I will be seeing bariatric patients and offering them weight loss surgery, but I will also be, like you said, taking the call from the ER, so general surgery. So
Gotcha.
comes into the ER with appendicitis on my night.
Well, it kind of seems like, right, I mean, my very rough, right, like that's your, not to say bread and butter, but that's yes. Your background. And so it would almost be, it would almost seem like, if, let's say, like I'm, you know, Eric and I are both CrossFit coaches, but I specialize in gymnastics. He specializes in Olympic weightlifting. We would both be remiss in the development of our professionalism if we didn't still coach general CrossFit classes, because there is a continued, you know, precision of that trade craft in the general sense of it that continues to inform the specialty, but not at the expense of the general craft. So again, like at some point, I'm sure the more and more specialized you get, you keep dipping your toe in the general stuff, but you know, you kind of continue to develop.
I think that's a perfect analogy, actually. And yes, depending on what specialty you go into. So heart surgeons out there, most of them aren't still taking gallbladders and appendixes out. So it actually seems almost bizarre to me that you could do a 5-year residency and then use almost none of that because you then decide to be a heart surgeon and take another gallbladder or appendix out in your life. Now, back in the old days, our old school general surgeons, I mean, they did it all, right?
Yeah.
That's what a general surgeon was. They literally did it all. But nowadays, you get so specialized, like you said, you don't do that other stuff. And that's not what I wanted. I love general surgery, and I wanted to be a general surgeon. I just saw this fellowship as just kind of making me a better general surgeon.
So let me ask, like, what's the, right, like that's sort of the 3-5 year kind of goal of, you know, you go back to this practice in Lafayette. Do you have kind of like, where's Aimee in 10-15 years from now? Is there sort of a, I want to ... You know what I mean? And selfishly, like, do you see the CrossFit stuff, especially with the specialty you're going into, like, do you see a component where maybe they blend?
Yeah, I think it's really important that, kind of like you said earlier, is trying to integrate more medicine and fitness and nutrition, because I have thought for the longest time, just a little bit more about my background that I left out. I did minor in nutrition when I came through undergrad.
That's awesome.
I think it's the biggest travesty that we have zero nutritional education mandatory at any point.
Yeah.
You know,
in the med school track.
Or nobody. At lower school, children, middle school, high school. I mean, I have a class where middle schoolers learn the difference in a carbohydrate and a protein and a fat. I mean, you eat every day. It's one of the most important things in our lives, and we receive zero education about it.
Yeah.
Ever, unless you go and seek it out. And that's what I learned when I went to undergrad and I decided to minor in nutrition. I'm like, how is this not mandatory? So that's always kind of been my little soapbox, is that I think that nutrition education should be mandatory from the very beginning, when you're a little kid to all the way through. But then when you get to med school, it's the same thing. There is almost zero education on nutrition, or, you know, kind of the effects of exercise and the cardiovascular benefits and all that. I can remember maybe like one lecture in one class of physiology about exercise physiology.
Right.
One time in 4 years. So again, these are such important topics, and they affect so much about our lives. And I don't think that that it's integrated very well between medicine and health and fitness. So I think that that's huge, actually. And I hope that, especially moving forward with my practice, especially what I do, because diet and exercise is a huge component of bariatric surgery. You cannot go through our program without going through 6 months of nutritional education, among lots of other things. There's a lot of stuff to get from point A to bariatric surgery. But it's also a huge component of whether our patients are successful or not.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to make the changes and make healthy life decisions after surgery, it doesn't matter how good I operate on them, if they won't have the same results.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I think that, and I've learned so much with you guys, and I'm excited to go home, but I'm sad to leave y'all.
I had no idea that you were a doctor, by the way. I feel so, I'm like absolutely.
Well, I feel like I never get to see you, Jack.
I know. And that's actually, it's funny. That was the whole point of this podcast. Not like this episode, though. This episode's phenomenal. Absolutely. Like this was such a treat. But when we started it, that was the whole thing. Like, cause I'm in the morning, especially when I was still teaching, like I'm 5:15 rolls around. Like I'm starting to be like, it's an hour from bedtime, right? Like dinner's over, we're ready to rock it, we're ready to go to bed. And so, yeah, people that are more in the evening, afternoon schedule, that might, one of my goals is to shift that in the next, I was going to use this pandemic, but it never really worked.
That's why I was excited with Aimee too. Cause I thought the same thing is like, oh, Jack, like, I think you guys cross paths like a little bit, but you've never really like, I think you guys have really like conversed. And it's like, oh, awesome. Cause I think you're awesome. And I was really excited for Jack to like, and there's stuff I'm learning about. It's like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. Like, cause I don't get to just
one of our goals or one of our things was to try to figure out how to get, so there's a model out there though, but I don't think anyone's really cracked this code of how to fully integrate a CrossFit gym with a medical practice. And I don't know if it'll ever get fully figured out. I know like the Rockets, Dr. Rhonda Rocket and her husband, I can't remember his first name right now, but they're up outside of Boston. They started with Ben Bergeron out of CrossFit New England and kind of they've done their own thing. But she made a really good point of like, to run her practice, she's a GP, and run it a CrossFit gym. Like there's no benefit, like financially or from an insurance standpoint, to run the gym and the practice. Like she's got to keep them separated, but like intuitively they work because like she has better patients that come to the CrossFit gym. But from an insurance standpoint, like there's still this gigantic uncanny valley between making the two work together. And I know Julie Fouché out in Ohio has been, I don't know if and it's Eureka.
Her and
her husband, he does the Steady MD stuff, which is the concierge online GP and some specialty stuff. But again, like it feels like there's a lot of disparate initiatives that are working for those individual practitioners, but there isn't yet sort of a standard model, which I mean, that's, you can imagine that's the nature of maybe that industry or this industry.
Feel like,
go ahead.
I feel like there is there's a lack of understanding about what CrossFit promotes unless you're in it, you know? I mean, when you're in it, you know, but when you're on the outside, people just, at least from my experience, just see CrossFit, it seems like it's just like a gym where people just go to get bigger muscles, you know? And it's like, that is kind of the layman's view, or can be, when you don't know what it's about. And it's about so much more than that. But I feel like the most important thing, and this is where our patients, I call my patients, I guess it's your clients, but it's about, you know, any type of movement is better than no movement, which is kind of like what Eric says. And that's what I try to get across to my patients. It's like doing anything is better than nothing. Going for a 20-minute walk today is better than sitting on your couch all afternoon.
Yeah.
And CrossFit, while it seems like y'all are doing all these crazy things, it's really more about just like show up and do something, move something, pick something up. And anybody can do it. You don't have to be a muscle builder to do it. I mean, anyone can do it. And that's the kind of information that I feel like about CrossFit that could be better disseminated and more people could benefit from it.
I feel like as you were saying that, like the move is our responsibility as a facility is to figure out where you get the either state recognized or insurance approved program. And then you as the practitioner who has this patient who comes through and has to do this 6 months of counseling, behavior change, show an exercise routine. You get to be able to write the prescription to the CrossFit box. Because this is my in-laws live in Connecticut. And their doctor was actually, they got a prescription written for a year-long monthly membership at a local, just, fitness facility. But if you can, partner where you as the practitioner know that that's not going to get the person what they need, because they're not going to get the guidance, they're not going to get the care, they're not going to actually get the thing that lasts and is effective. But if you can write it for a CrossFit gym, it's not personal training price point. It's not, local gym, 24-hour fitness, $12 a month, you get $12 a month care. It's somewhere in the middle, and it actually changes their life. Then when they show up back to you, whatever procedure they then get, or at least have I guess it's that runtime too, the return on the investment and the lasting effect of it. You can turn around and show like, hey, look, those who get this protocol have a 75% success rate. Those who don't only have a 25% success rate. Like that would be, then the insurance is like, oh, nice. That's a $500,000 improved return on investment for me as the insurance provider. Like, hell yeah.
And so we do that with nutrition already. So most of the insurance companies require X amount of nutrition classes and all this kind of thing before they'll even do surgery. So I think it's a really interesting idea to include something like that with exercise as well.
Yeah.
Because like I said, whether these patients have good results or not, the surgery is the surgery. They're going to get great surgery. Don't worry about that. But it is all about how much they invest into it, how much they invest into making those healthy changes for themselves before and after surgery.
Yeah.
So, I love that idea.
Right? Like the surgery is like, you buy a pair of Metcons, like you got a great pair of shoes. Like your squat is definitely going to get better when you get a good pair of Nanos or, Nobles. But I mean, over time, like,
yeah.
But if you don't have Eric telling you to get lower.
That's right.
I can't, my hamstrings are tight.
The shoes can only do so much.
Exactly.
You work out in Allbirds, don't you?
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's soft.
So the conversion, then I guess the conversion is not 100% yet. You haven't actually made the move.
I didn't even know my friends. I was doing a Zoom happy hour the other night. I didn't even know I'm not supposed to be running in Allbirds. They're like, those aren't running shoes. I'm like, they're tennis shoes and they're on my feet. What? I don't understand.
Personally, I don't think you should be running in running shoes, but that's a whole different story.
Oh, so
that's a different doctor. We'll have to get Dr. Ricky on for that one. He can tell us what's the real story on foot health.
I'll tap in for that one.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing that's been really cool about these virtual WODs too, kind of going back to where you're talking about how it doesn't have to be that complicated to get people moving. And these virtual WODs, like we already knew that you didn't need a lot of stuff to make this effective. I think even more so, and I loved it, Jack. I think it was like the first support your local box workout, and it was I think it was the snatches and the air squats, right? And you said, I was watching your video from the class, which make sure you check out Fairwinds CrossFit YouTube channel every day for the workout of the day. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. But you said to someone like, if you don't have a dumbbell, cool. If you like grab a water jug, grab a I think you said grab like a can of soup or something. And I literally had one of my teens do that. She grabbed a can of beans and did that whole workout with a can of beans. And like, for us to do this every day, that can of beans is light. It's not going to really give you the same effect that you're looking for from a snatch. But that's as simple as someone like my mom could pick up a can of beans and lift it up over her head 10 times and then sit down and stand up 10 times. And is she going to go to the games? No. But
neither are any of us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, just zoom. You don't even have to zoom out that far. We are the same as your mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, the difference between us and Matt Frazier is so much bigger than the difference between us and somebody who's never done this before.
Mhm.
Like that's the part that I think people forget, but they zoom out in the wrong way, that they think we're those people on ESPN. And the reality is we are so far from what they're doing. And then if you zoom out even just a little bit further, they're the same as somebody who's never done it before. And that's Glassman's, the needs of the Olympic athlete and your grandmother vary in degree, not kind. And that's the genius of that statement, is that we all need the same thing.
Mhm.
You just gotta scale it
And find a can of corn.
and find a can of corn.
I used one of my textbooks for squats one day.
Yeah.
There it is.
Medical textbooks. I held it right here and did like goblet squats.
Was it a physiology textbook?
It was a big old surgery textbook.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, you got super creative. You did squats with a textbook. You did pull-ups in your dog crate.
Mhm.
You snatched with a Swiffer or a broom.
With the hand, with the Swiffer still attached.
With the
Your grip's like this wide.
Was it like, yeah, it's like moving as you like. Ding, ding,
he was
ding.
like, wider grip. I'm like, I can't. There's a
got
broom in
nothing.
the way.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, it's so fun seeing how like simple this can be, and like I said, Aimee, you can do more. You can lift a barbell, and you can do a pull up or whatever. But like it's just showing how simple this can be without anything for anyone.
So that got me thinking. So as somebody who, I mean, board certified, soon to be, bariatric specialist surgeon. Is it everything you like? So now go the other direction, take that time machine back to, junior year undergraduate Aimee. Is surgery what you thought it would be? Like, is it as, I don't know, to me, it looks like magic, right? Like, holy crap, you're in it though. And so is it what you thought it would be? Is there differences? Better? Like, were you surprised?
It is pretty incredible. I do have to say that. After 5 years of residency, where you literally just head down in residency and you try to survive, coming out the other side and taking those boards and passing them and realizing that, like, yes, when that patient comes into the emergency room with that surgical emergency, not only do I know how to do it, I can and I will do it, and I will fix them, whatever is wrong with them. There's nothing like it. It's really incredible. I think that I'm so fortunate to do what I do and to love what I do. And that was really my goal all along, was to find something that I wanted to do every day for the rest of my life. And I could operate every day for the rest of my life. And I would be
That's awesome.
And the last 6 weeks have been so painful because I have not operated.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to ask that too. Like, what are you guys doing? Is it just on hold?
I just assumed you were doing Zoom and telling people like how to do it themselves.
Yeah, like just take the knife.
It's like a cooking show.
No, put that back. Put that back.
No, you need that one. You need that.
I just threw up a little bit.
It's been tough. So they canceled elective surgery at Anne Arundel 6 weeks ago today. Yes, I have it on my calendar. I am not sad about it. So, and yes, all of our surgeries from a bariatric surgery standpoint are elective. There's no emergency surgery.
That's a different argument, right? That's a different philosophical argument.
Exactly.
I can tell the way you said that. Like, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a philosophical debate that we can come back to.
Yeah.
So from a surgery standpoint, no, we have not been doing much. Anne Arundel, I can tell you, I'm obviously not a spokesperson for the hospital or anything like that, but I mean, they've really just been focusing on making us as prepared as possible for what is going to do. And of course, nobody knows. But they've really just been taking all the precautions necessary to make sure we have the PPE and the manpower and the space and the beds and the ventilators and everything to serve this community. And so that's really been the focus over the last 6 weeks. If the pandemic continues to get worse and we do continue to see more and more patients coming in with coronavirus, and there is a chance that they will use some other doctors like surgeons to help care for those patients if and when we have a staffing issue. But that's really kind of the only way that I, as a general surgeon, would be involved with the pandemic patients. But right now it's just all about preparedness. And I got to say, I mean, I've been really impressed with Anne Arundel and administration there. They've really just kind of they hit the ground running with this thing. And
so not to say like, you've been on vacation, but has it been sort of like an kind of a nice sort of deceleration of like go?
It has been very different for me. Like I said, coming out of 5 years of residency where you work minimum 80-hour weeks, but usually longer. Fellowship was actually a nice step down because just my 10-hour OR days was slower in fellowship. So now, yeah, it's been interesting. I do yoga every day, which I've never done yoga before in my life. But I've worked on my flexibility, so Eric doesn't yell at me as much during class. And I literally have workout about 5-6 times a week, which Eric also knows I never used to do before. This is my
your calendar. Look at that.
There it is.
So the big red WO is my favorite thing to do every day after class.
Work out. I like it.
That's so funny. If I can say, like, jump ahead, like I actually have 2 gratitudes today. And one of them is you. I'm pointing down to you. I don't know where you are on your screen, but I'm pointing down to you. But like Aimee it was like to come 2 times a week was like a big victory because of Aimee's schedule. And, it was like, it was usually there by 6:15. It might be like 6:20, 6:25, but if getting there 2 times a week because of her schedule was a big victory. And so silver lining in this whole thing, because Aimee's been able to pop in 4 or 5 times a week. Mm-hmm. And so if anything, like I love that we get to finish off our like coaching athlete relationship strong going into when you get to go back home. I'm just so happy that I get this like time with you before you go. And
you're helping me so much with my wedding dress body.
There we go.
Austin is going to be very appreciative as well.
He's already texted me. Keep up the good work, dude.
He's like, I'm a big fan of what you do. Keep it up.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
Until you start beating him in water.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, then he's not going to like it. He's not going to like that.
Last time he was here, I think it was a Saturday morning, and it was that one. I felt like there were like 48 people in the gym.
I did meet him.
Yeah,
I did meet him on that one Saturday, it was a Saturday WOD or something. I forget. Yes, I do remember. Okay.
It was like thrusters and burpees.
It was so many thrusters. It was like 1,000 thrusters. I remember that still.
And you beat him. You beat him in time by like a couple minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I could tell too. Like I could tell at one point in it, whatever round you were on, whatever round he was on. Like, I mean, he's moving. So and he's, he seems like a super humble guy. So he doesn't care that much. But there is a little something when it's your significant other right behind you, and I'm like, and you're sitting there like, God, she's moving too damn fast.
And we were both certainly competitive. So.
Yeah, like I never minded when Meg beat me in a WOD. Like just Meg's so athletic and strong and
But she still snatches more than you, right?
Yeah. She hasn't snatched in like 3 years, but yes, she can still snatch more than me. But there is still that little something like, God darn it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to keep us updated on the Austin versus Aimee.
I do have to say, I know that when it reintegrates, y'all are still trying to figure out what it's going to mean for y'all's virtual WODs, but I think it's been such an amazing thing that if y'all can figure out a way to still offer virtual WODs at some point, even when you're back in the gym, I just think it adds such an awesome dimension, because there would definitely be times that I would be easier to make a class and do it at home than make it to the gym, just for whatever reason, and having that option I think is so cool. So, and who knows? Nobody knows what's going to happen and how things are going to happen, but I love the home line. So.
That's really good feedback. I mean, I appreciate that. And you're right. Like it's it's a great opportunity to figure that out. Like, what does that look like? And even, right. I never went to film school. I don't know how to run a TV show, but I'm sure there's people out there who do. We have a couple in the box who have that AV tech kind of background. And so we don't have to figure it out, but it comes back to exactly what you just said. If I can make it accessible and still enjoyable and effective for you, then hell, why not
then
offer
it's
that?
worth
Like,
it.
hell yeah, exactly, totally. So if we are pivoting to the gratitudes, I want to jump in. I realized today, especially even as this went, like my gratitude, Eric, was first, it was going to be for you 100%. There are elements to owning a small business or just kind of being, in different roles. We're partners, but we each have kind of like our areas where like one is more in charge of the other. But this podcast definitely became like, it's Eric's. He schedules, he plans it, he comes up with the ideas, right? Like I have elements that are my job, but there are moments when you just wish like, I just want to show up. Right? I don't want to have to think about timing. I just want to show up. And today I was like, I just get to show up. Like he totally changed the guest. He's like, it's going to be Aimee. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. I've done zero background homework, obviously. Right. Like I did absolutely nothing, but I got to show up. And then, so that was my gratitude of like, that's so cool. Finally, like there's an element to it. And then Aimee, you're my, like the unforeseen gratitude of like, holy crap, I had no idea that you were a general freaking surgeon. And that's such a fun, like, that's the type of stuff that the amount of just talent and skill and amazingness that is in the walls of our gym now, virtual walls of the gym. It's so freaking cool. So thank you for finding us and thanks for sticking with us for so long. Like that's absolutely awesome. You made us better. It's going to be, I'm actually kind of now sad that you're leaving it.
Right? It's like I dangled this thing in front of you. He's like, how awesome is she? Come on.
So more motivation to do a virtual thing because then maybe like we get to see it from time
I
to
can
time.
do it from Louisiana.
You got it, exactly.
Check in with y'all once or twice a week. Make sure y'all aren't getting into trouble.
That's right.
No promises there.
All right, so it's your turn now. You got to give us one. It doesn't have to be us. That wasn't like, I'm not fishing for like.
Yeah.
Well, I am so grateful for y'all and for Fairwinds. Like I said, y'all are everything that I know about CrossFit. I was one of the sketchy, distrustful non-believers before, and y'all really just taught me so much. And I got to say, I am in the best shape of my life since probably high school. So,
Nice.
And that is hugely, hugely due to y'all. So I'm so grateful.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And you came in like you when you jumped into the foundations, like, oh, she can move. I was like, you were moving, you could keep up, and I was like, so you were already pretty fit when you came in, at least relatively fit. So that's exciting. To get that,
I am 25 pounds down since I moved up to Maryland.
Holy crow!
Seriously?
I didn't even know I had 25 pounds to lose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah, and I know. I mean,
for you.
I've got to be exponentially stronger than when I started. There's no way. So
Yeah.
I
That's
haven't
awesome.
deadlifted since high school. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, that's so sweet. I don't want to. I had, like I said, I had two gratitudes, and one of them like was you from the get go. But I had the second one on my way in this morning to the gym, and it's trash men. It's trash men, and it's so because like oh man, what a like thankless job. So one of the trash men, his truck, like one of the dumpsters here, I guess something got caught as he was like dumping into the back of the truck, and he put the dumpster down. It was still like hanging on his truck, so he's like trying to pull it down, like whatever's stuck on the top of his truck. And as he pulls on it, I don't know what it was, but some liquid just came all down on him. And you can tell, like, it was 7 a.m. and this guy's day was just like pooped on. And I was like, oh man, like, thank you, trash men, for doing that job that like nobody wants to do, but they do it. So you're right up there with my trash men today. Like, just what a job.
Like our guy, they do it with like hustle. Like they are moving through the neighborhood, and I love it. Like I love watching them. Now, granted, they beat the crap out of those trash cans a little bit, but whatever. They're plastic. You can get them replaced from the county. I love how fast they move. Like I'm like, you guys kick ass.
That's a workout too.
Like set up too. You're like, oh, like that guy's over there doing that one. That guy's over. He's sliding in the street.
Yeah, and you think the guy driving the truck, like he's not going to get out and help. He's just the truck driver. But every now and then, like our truck, he'll get out and he'll help out. And if there's like extra, and I'm like, you guys are awesome. They're the best. So that's a good one, Eric. I like that one. Nice. Too bad for that guy getting covered in trash goo.
Yeah. It was, like as I drive by, I was like,
Thanks for what you do.
yeah. Thanks for what you do.
In a way, that's sort of the way I feel about your job, Aimee. Like,
yeah, right.
I cut into chicken and I'm swallowing it down a little bit. So.
Oh my gosh, the goo you must swim in occasionally.
Oh.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
No.
It's
All
worse.
right. So this is a great episode. Thanks for coming.
Oh man.
All right, Eric. You closing us out? Laying this plane? What you got?
It's funny. I kind of want to share the one I shared with you yesterday. I was really excited about it. And I think it goes well with my singing video from yesterday.
Which, by the way, I really liked the "It's a Whole New World" or "Brand New World." They were right. They asked you for a different song, but I liked the one that you gave them.
Cool.
He was gonna sing that regardless of what they asked for.
Pretty much, yeah.
They were like the Macarena, and he would have been like, "Oh, what? You said the song from Aladdin?"
I can show you the. But no, in honesty, I had a song about a tortilla that I was going to sing. Actually, it's more of a rap.
Ba-boom.
But I don't actually have a rap. Awesome. Hey, Aimee. Go Tigers.
That's right, go Tigers.
I'm really excited. Starting with Tony's episode's airing this week. Yours is next week, and I started having fun with Photoshop again. So you'll see the picture for Tony's go up for his podcast today. It'll be the preview of his podcast. I'm very excited. I've already made yours. I'm very excited about the one that's going up in yours next week. I almost want to show you now, but I'm going to let it sit.
Let it be a surprise.
Awesome. Just know that it's LSU related.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. I'll see you before. We got time. But this was awesome. Such a nice surprise and totally fun.
Thank you all so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks, Aimee.
Well, we will see you.
Bye.